This video is for the Salt Lake Community College Interior Design 1100 class, and today we're going to be talking about power and lighting plans. So the first thing about a power and lighting plan is you'll just draw kind of your typical floor plan drawing. You don't need to draw door swings. If you don't want to, you can show those if you'd like, but sometimes they just kind of get in the way. You show door openings, you're going to show your windows, you're going to show cabinets and kind of other relative things to the drawing that you need. You'll show furniture, but only in a very, very light way, so just a really light outline of the furniture, and trying not just using that kind of as a reference for laying out the lighting plan and where you're going to have power outlets and potentially any data jacks that you'll need. And so you just do a really light kind of furniture plan to kind of help with that. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to basically go through and start laying out where your lighting wants to go. So let's start with the lighting and just show and demonstrate a few different ways to show different kinds of lighting. So the first light I'm going to show is just a regular kind of typical down light. And I'm going to put it here between my sofa and my coffee table there. And so I'm just using my circle template, and you can kind of pick a size. You don't want it to be too big. You want it to be, just something that you're going to show. I don't know, maybe this is about 3/16 there. Okay, so that's my little light fixture. You do a little line, and then you're going to draw, I'm just going to draw 4 little lines that come out to that to show that that's a light fixture. Right. So you don't have to be too graphic about these as far as trying to show exactly what it looks like. You'll want a unique graphic symbol for different lights that you might be using in your project, but they're just a representation of what's going to be in the project, not necessarily an exact. So what you do here is you're going to draw it here, and then we're going to go up. We're going to show it in the schedule. You'll describe it here, and here you can give as much information as you want. You can even put a part number. If you have that much information, not for your final, but in an actual real world project, you might go to that much detail with putting even a part number that maybe you've selected that you want to be used in the project. So back here, what I'm going to show is just another light fixture. This one I'm going to make it a fan. And again, there's different ways that you can kind of demonstrate this, but for me, I'm just going to take this out here and just kind of draw a little paddle wheel that comes out from each one of these areas. And I'm freehanding this. I'm sure there's probably a template somewhere that you could use. We're just going to kind of show a big old fan light like this. It comes there. Okay, so there's a fan light there. Let's say here in front on each side of my fireplace I want a couple other down lights, so maybe I put one here. I come down over here and put a second one just there. Again, just kind of a quick just show this like this. All right, so there's a few lights in my ceiling, okay, and so we're showing just where the lights would be. Again, it's in a floor plan. It's kind of a mixture of a reflected ceiling and a floor plan, both kind of together. So let's say that I want to do a couple of wall lights here, maybe sconces that are on the wall just for accent lighting. So the way you'll typically show that is just kind of a half circle. All right, I'm going to do 2 of them over here. And then just a little line that goes like that. All right, notice it's just a little bit off the wall there, just a little bit of space between there and the wall. And let's say that here I want some sort of maybe a track lighting. So this is just kind of a double line. And then I'll just do a little line like that. And then just along here, you can draw just some little boxes, maybe at varying spaces. Again, there's no exact way. Everybody shows these maybe a little bit differently, and again, you'll kind of define those when you do your schedule. So maybe these are just kind of like this to just represent that as sort of a track lighting along here. Alright, so each one of those little fixtures there. And let's say that underneath these upper cabinets, right, so this is a lower cabinet, I've got my dashed lines for my upper cabinets. Let's say that under here I just want some under cabinet lighting. You might want to do this in your kitchens if you so desire, or in other places of your design. So I just wanted to show that, and again, it's just kind of a linear line here that goes underneath there. Okay. Okay, so there's a few different types of lights that I might have in my design, and so now I need to decide how I'm going to turn on and off each one of those lights. So the way that you do that is you're going to show switches, right? And a switch is just shown with an S. That's shown this way. All right, so there's my S, and then there's just a little line that comes through that and out from the wall. Okay, if I want a couple of switches on the wall over here, then I'm going to draw two of them just kind of next to each other, and that'll show that there's a couple of wall switches there. Right. If I realize I didn't do a little example, but let's say that there's a little wall. Well, no, I don't want to do there. Let's say that there's a wall that's coming out this way. I'll just draw this in here really quick. Okay, so there's a wall there. I'll just make that look like my other walls. Yes, I use a little bit of marker. I found that that's easier to do my wall poche. And so there's that wall there. Let's say that I want a light switch on that wall. Then what you're going to do is you're going to turn, right, and you're going to write your S going the other way, right, on that side of the wall. Or let's say that I wanted one over here on this side of the wall for some reason. I could do the same thing here, write the S. So you just turn it to the side like that, and then draw your line going that other way. Okay, so let's say that I've got that one there, and I've got maybe another one over here, or let's say that there's two. We're going to do a couple of these here, and then I'm going to have this one here. I'm going to have a second one here. Okay. All right. So now I want to show what each one of these what each one of these switches turns on and turns off. So the way you do that is you just come out from the end of this, and you can just kind of freehand this as best you can. I like to use dashed lines. Some people like to use solid lines, but I think that makes it a little harder to read personally. So notice that that dashed line comes out to here, and it goes to the end of that fixture, right? And then I can take this here, and don't worry about where you're running this. You're just trying to show the electrician where to run it. This isn't indicative of where the wires are actually going to go. You're just telling them that I want these things to kind of hook together. So notice that that goes and connects there, and then that one goes and connects there. That means that both of these under counter lights will be will function off of this switch right here. Okay, so then let's do the same thing. Let's do a similar thing here, and let's take this one right here. All right, so that light fixture, or that switch, is going to have that light fixture work, right? And then I try not to cross them over too much. Sometimes it's inevitable. So then let's say that that comes to there. I just kind of draw this over to here, dash lines to there. So that switch would power both of those wall sconces. This switch powers the track lighting there. Okay, and then let's say that this switch right here is going to turn on and turn off the fan. I just bring this. And you do kind of these curvilinear things again, so it's easier to read, not straight lines, because you know that gets more confused with the furniture and the walls and stuff. So you've got that one. Now I want these three lights here to work with both of these switches here. So you could maybe turn them off when you come into the room, and then maybe the bedrooms are down here, so at night you want to be able to turn it off here and have the function both ways. So you're going to start kind of just by doing that same thing, right? This is going to come in to there. Go to there. There. And then I'm actually going to take this one and bring it all the way over to this switch. Okay. So now you'll notice that this switch is almost kind of creating a connection. And to tell the electrician again that this switch is in two locations, you put a little 2 right here next to that switch. All right, and a little 2 over here next to that one. All right. Let's say that I had a third switch, just as an example. I could put another switch over here on this line, on this wall, and then come in here and I maybe connect it into here. You don't need to connect it to each one again, but you just come and connect it to one more of those fixtures, and then you'd put a little 3 next to all of those, right, to let them know that there's 3 switches that they need to wire. And so that tells the contractor and the electrician exactly how to wire each one of those things. So that's our lights. That's the way how we kind of do our light fixtures. Okay. Now the next thing that you're going to want to do is add some power outlets, right? And so power outlets, they have a special symbol that they use, and these are a little bit more common. But I'm just going to draw. What you do is you draw a circle near the wall. Don't have it touch the wall, right? It's just off the wall a little bit. And then there's 2 little lines that come out from that. Okay, so that right there, you can see that is just a power outlet. Okay, so let's say that I want another one down here at this end. All right, that might be a little too far from the wall, but that's all right. You'll understand that. Okay, 2 there. Let's say that I want some power at these on top of the countertop, but below the upper cabinets here, right? So then I can come over here and I can put a little circle, and unfortunately that's going to kind of be over the top of where my light was, but well, it's the way it is. All right, and then it's going to be out like that. 2 lines right there. Okay. Now, one thing to know, when you just draw it like this, you're telling the contractor to install that at the typical height, which is about 18 inches off the floor, right, off the finished floor level. So that's down at floor level. I don't want him to install these at floor level. I want them to be up above the countertop, right? So if my counter here, my base cabinet, is at 36 inches, and then I'm going to have a 4-inch backsplash, and I want this to be above that, then I need it to be a little bit taller than that, right? Up a little bit higher. So right next to that little symbol, you're just going to write, I'm going to do 42 inches. Just write a little 42 inches. All right, and then same with this one over here, a little 42 inches. And that tells the contractor, I want those power outlets installed 42 inches above the floor, right? Because when they come and they lay all of this out, that's long before the cabinets ever come in. So they need to make sure that they install those boxes at the right height, and without that information, they may install it at the incorrect height. Okay, so let's do another one just along this wall over here. So I don't know if you've ever seen those power outlets that actually have 4 plugs in them, but let's do one of those. So the way that's shown is you show the 2 little outlets, 2 little things coming out from there, and then you're going to show 2 more going crosswise. like that. Okay, so that's a symbol for 4 outlets in one box. Okay, so now I've got a 4 outlet thing there and going fine. So let's say that the other thing that I want is I want to be able to put a lamp on this table right here, this little sofa table. But I don't want to have to string, you know, a wire rolling along the floor from here across the floor to do that. So I want them to do an in-floor box, right? So the way that you would do that is, again, it's just kind of the same symbology. You're going to put a circle where you want them to install that, and then you're just going to put the 2 lines kind of through that here, and they'll know that since that's out in the middle of the floor, right, and not up against a wall, that that's a floor box that they're going to have to install, rather than something that's on the wall. So they'll get that correct. If there's critical, like if you know it needs to be a certain dimension off of the wall, you want it in an exact placement, then you would provide a dimension from that wall to the center line here, and maybe from this wall or a different wall to the center line there. That way they can get it exactly where you want it to be. And we do that a lot of times when we do furniture and don't want plugs or data ports coming out from the ceiling, you know, in that. So we have them put in floor plugs, and we'll dimension it out so we get it exactly where we want it to be. Okay. Now the other thing you might want to know is, like in a lot of homes, especially in the living room, you'll notice that some of the plugs are actually powered by a switch, at least the top plug in outlets. So what you would do is you would just draw these same sort of symbols, but then you draw a little S and you would connect those with your dashed lines like you do the lights. If they're not switched, then you don't have to do that. You don't draw the dashed lines to connect them. They figure that out kind of all on their own. But if you do want it switched, then you need to show that so they know where to place the switch and which outlets that switch turns on and turns off. So, but otherwise you don't need to do any sort of dashed lines to connect those. Okay. Then the last thing that you, or the next thing that you might want, is let's say I've got the fireplace here, but above the fireplace I've got a TV, and so I want to have power right above there. So I'm going to draw a little power thing here, and then I'm going to want that to be maybe 6 feet up in the air. So so I'm going to write 72 inches right there. So they'll put that plug at 72 inches in the air. And let's say that I want to be able to run cable or internet or you know, some sort of a data wire to that in order to be able to, you know, hook up those things. So then what I've got here is, in fact, I just noticed this on this particular one, but it actually has these are electrical symbols, so you can see the square, the power, and some different things there. So this triangle, though, is what you use for data. So you're going to show that little triangle right here against the wall. All right, and then you just draw a little line that connects that to the wall, just one, and then you write again next to that 72 inches. Otherwise, they'll install it at 18 inches above the floor. So that's going to tell them to run a data power, you know, a cable line or whatever it might be there, or at least put in a box so that we can run that later. Okay. So in today's houses, I mean, you used to have to put a little data symbol wherever you'd have a phone. Obviously, you don't have that as much anymore. But you would show cable like cable TV if people still have that, or if you have internet connections that you actually want to plug into the wall, an Ethernet connection, you can do that, or wherever your router might be, if you want to plug that in so that you have your Wi-Fi. So you're going to still show some data. It's just not nearly as often. You might only have 2 or 3 or 4 of those in a house or a residential plan that you would show. So that's basically it. You've got switches, okay, and then I guess the last thing to talk about would be the schedule. So you'll want to do a schedule that basically shows what each one of these things looks like. So I might come up here, and I use the little 8. Use this particular one here for my lights. All right. So I just draw that symbol up here. And then, I don't know, I could call this say that this is a recessed light fixture. Okay, and then maybe next one is I do this little symbol. And I can call this a wall-mounted fixture, or wall-mounted light, let's call it that. Right. So you'll go down and you'll just draw the little symbol. And then you'll describe what it is. You'll do that for your power outlets also. Oops, I wanted to draw that down further. So that's here. So the one that has the 2 is called a duplex. Power outlet. The one with 4 would be called a fourplex. Anyway, so then you just go down through. You can list your switches. You know, the S line that comes through that. That's a light switch. Okay. But basically, you come down and you anything that you show as a light fixture or a power symbol on your plans, you want to come down here and show it. Okay, notice that when I did these, it comes out from the wall. When I did it that way, it came out from the wall that way. So make sure you orient them correctly. Same with the switches that I mentioned previously. So there you go. That's sort of the introduction to the power and lighting plan. So for your final assignment, the final drawings that you're doing, you'll do the power and lighting plan as for your residential space. Notice that we're not showing the ceiling here. If you've already watched the other video, then in the ceiling you do show some lights, but you don't show the switches, but you show your switching here. And we could get into that if they were kind of how you would show that in a commercial setting. But anyway, it would basically be shown like this without the ceiling finishes in it. But anyway, this should get you going. This is all you need. So one of the common things that I see that people that I know weren't listening very closely is they come in here and they're drawing in all of their ceilings when they're doing their lighting and power plan. Do not draw the ceilings on your lighting and power plan, okay? And then the other way around, when you're doing your reflected ceiling plan, do not draw the switches, right? You don't show the switching there, you show on the other. So you're doing something a little bit different for the commercial and the residential as far as these are concerned, but it'll give you good experience in doing it both ways. So as always, if you have any questions, please give me a call or message me through Canvas or send me an email. And good luck with this assignment. Thanks. Bye.